The massive ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system like dark clouds blocking out the stars. Admiral Zexthoric stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching the small blue planet grow larger on his screens. His 12-foot frame cast a shadow across the control room as his 4 arms moved over the command panels with practiced ease. Behind him, hundreds of Corvani warriors prepared for what they believed would be another easy victory. The Corvani Empire had conquered 847 star systems in 3,000 years. Never once had they faced defeat. Their bioengineered bodies were stronger than steel, their minds could break enemy will before battle began, and their weapons could crack planets in half. Every species they encountered took one look at their massive fleet and surrendered immediately. Zexthoric had personally overseen 200 conquests. Each time was the same. His ships would arrive, demonstrate their power, and receive surrender messages within hours. The new species would join the Empire as workers and servants. Their worlds would provide resources and soldiers for the next conquest. It was a system that had worked perfectly for millennia. He expected Earth to be no different. Colonel Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the first alien transmission reached Earth. He nearly choked on the hot liquid as the message played through the speakers at the United Earth Defense Force headquarters in Colorado. The voice was deep and mechanical, translated by computers into perfect English. People of the third planet, you will surrender your world to the Corvani Empire. You have one rotation of your planet to decide. Join us willingly and live as servants. Refuse and face complete destruction. We have conquered 847 worlds. We have never been defeated. You cannot resist us. Jake set down his coffee cup and looked around the command center. Other officers stared at their screens in shock. Some looked scared. Others seemed confused. Jake felt something else entirely. He felt excited. General Lisa Campbell burst through the doors moments later, her gray hair still messy from sleep. "Tell me this is some kind of joke," she said, but her eyes already showed she knew it was real. "No joke, General," Jake replied, pulling up the tracking data on his screen. "We've got at least 50 massive ships sitting just outside Pluto's orbit. They're big, Lisa, bigger than anything we've ever built." Lisa studied the readings and whistled softly. "How big are we talking?" "The largest one is about 20 miles long. The smallest ones are still bigger than our biggest space station." Admiral Ben Parker arrived next, still buttoning his uniform. "I've been on the phone with the President for the last 10 minutes. She wants to know what we're dealing with." Jake pulled up more data. "From what our sensors can tell, these ships are beyond anything in our technology level. Their hulls are made of materials we can't identify. Their energy output is off the charts. If they wanted to destroy Earth, they probably could." "Probably?" Lisa asked. "Well, we've never fought aliens before, so it's hard to say for sure," Jake admitted. "But based on pure numbers, they outgun us by about 1,000 to 1. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. If these aliens wanted a fight, humanity would lose badly. Ben broke the silence. "So what do we do? Surrender?" Jake looked at the alien ships on his screen, then at his friends and fellow officers around him. "Actually, I was thinking we should talk to them first. Find out what they want, how they operate, maybe learn something about their technology." Lisa stared at him. "Jake, did you hear the message? They want us to surrender or they'll destroy us." "Yeah, I heard that," Jake said with a small smile. "But they also said they've conquered 847 worlds without ever being defeated." "Don't you think that's interesting?" "Interesting how? Think about it. If you've won every single fight for 3,000 years, you probably expect every new fight to go the same way. You get confident." "Maybe overconfident," Ben nodded slowly. "You're thinking they might not be prepared for something unexpected." "Exactly. Every species they've met has probably surrendered immediately. They've never had to adapt their tactics or try new strategies. They just show up, look scary, and accept surrender." Captain Ryan Torres had been listening from the doorway. He stepped into the room, his young face serious but determined. "Colonel Morrison, The UES Liberty is ready for launch. My crew is asking what our orders are. Jake looked at Lisa and Ben. The Liberty was humanity's newest warship, though calling it a warship was generous. It had been built as a research vessel and fitted with experimental weapons only 6 months ago. Against the alien fleet, it would be like throwing a paper airplane at a tank. Ryan, how do you feel about making first contact with an alien species that wants us to surrender? Jake asked. Ryan grinned. Sounds like the adventure of a lifetime, sir. Dr. Amy Sullivan rushed into the command center carrying a tablet covered in data. Her blonde hair was tied back hastily and she had coffee stains on her lab coat. I've been analyzing their transmission signals, she announced. These aliens use technology that's at least 500 years ahead of ours, but there's something strange about their communication patterns. Strange how? Lisa asked. They're broadcasting on frequencies that suggest they expect immediate responses, like they're used to very quick conversations that end in surrender. Also, their language translation software is incredibly advanced, but it seems designed for basic concepts. Submission, compliance, fear. They don't seem to have many words. For negotiation or compromise. Jake felt his excitement growing, so they're not used to long conversations. They expect quick surrender messages. That's what it looks like, Amy confirmed. Admiral Ben Parker was already moving toward the communication station. What if we don't give them what they expect? What if instead of surrendering or refusing, we invite them to talk? You want to invite them to negotiate? Lisa asked. Why not? Jake's right. If they've never faced resistance, they've probably never had to actually negotiate with anyone. We might learn something useful. Jake walked over to the main communication console. Ryan, take the Liberty out toward their fleet, but keep your distance. Let them see we're not hiding, but we're not attacking either. What should I tell them if they contact me? Jake thought for a moment. Tell them we received their message and we'd like to discuss terms. Don't say yes or no to surrender. Just say we want to talk. Dr. Amy looked worried. What if they take that as a refusal and attack? Then we'll find out how good our new shields are, Jake replied. But I don't think they will. Think about it from their perspective. They've conquered 800 worlds by following the same pattern. Show up, demand surrender, receive surrender, move on. If we break that pattern, they'll be confused. Confused enemies make mistakes, Lisa nodded slowly. It's risky, but it might be our only chance to learn something about them before we have to make a real decision. Ben was already preparing the communication equipment. Jake, you want to send the message? Jake stepped up to the microphone. He thought about all the science fiction movies he'd watched as a kid, all the stories about first contact with aliens. None of them had prepared him for this moment. He was about to represent all of humanity in a conversation with beings from another world. He pressed the transmit button. This is Colonel Jake Morrison of the United Earth Defense Force. We have received your message. We understand you represent the Corvani Empire and have successfully conquered many worlds. We would be honored to discuss terms with your representatives. We have much to learn from such an accomplished civilization. Please respond if you are willing to meet. He released the button and looked around the room. Everyone was staring at him. Terms? Lisa asked. Jake, they demanded surrender. I know, Jake replied. But I didn't say we were surrendering. I said we wanted to discuss terms. There's a difference. What difference? Jake smiled. Surrendering means giving up. Discussing terms means negotiating. If they've never had anyone want to negotiate before, this should be very interesting. The response came faster than expected. The same mechanical voice filled the command center, but this time it sounded slightly different, less certain. Humans of Earth, you speak of terms? Explain this concept. The Corvani Empire does not negotiate. You will surrender completely or face destruction. Jake picked up the microphone again. Admiral Zexthoric, we understand your position. However, we believe a meeting between our representatives could benefit both our peoples. We have technologies and knowledge that might interest the Corvani Empire. Perhaps we could arrange a brief meeting to explore mutual advantages. The alien response took longer this time. When it came, the voice sounded confused. Mutual advantages. This concept is unknown, you will clarify? Jake looked at his colleagues and winked. This is going to be fun. Admiral Zexthoric stared at the communication console on his bridge with growing confusion. In 3,000 years of conquest, no species had ever responded to his demands with talk of meetings and mutual advantages. His forearms moved nervously. Over the controls, as he tried to understand what the humans were doing, Senior Commander Velthara approached from her station. Her tall frame moved with the careful grace of a trained warrior, but her usual confidence seemed shaken. Admiral, the humans are not following standard surrender protocols. They speak of negotiation as if they have something to offer us. That is impossible, Zexthoric replied, his deep voice echoing through the bridge. We are the Corvani Empire. We take what we need. We do not negotiate with lesser species. Velthara gestured toward the tactical display showing Earth. Perhaps they do not understand our power. Should we demonstrate our weapons to clarify the situation? Zexthoric considered. Every previous conquest had begun the same way. Show overwhelming force, receive immediate surrender, accept new subjects into the Empire. These humans seem to be delaying the process for unknown reasons. Prepare the plasma cannons, he ordered. Target several large asteroids in their system. Let them see what happens to those who resist the Empire. On Earth, Captain Ryan Torres watched from the bridge of the UES Liberty as massive energy beams lanced out from the alien fleet. 3 asteroids the size of mountains simply vanished in brilliant flashes of light. The power display was incredible and terrifying. Holy cow, whispered Lieutenant Commander Alex Carter from his fighter pilot station. Did you see that? They just erased those rocks like they were dust. Ryan opened a channel to Earth Command. Colonel Morrison, I hope you saw that demonstration. These aliens aren't playing games. Jake's voice came back steady and calm. We saw it, Ryan. Very impressive. Are they trying to communicate with us again? Not yet, sir. I think they're waiting for us to panic and surrender. Dr. Amy Sullivan was already analyzing the energy readings from her lab. She had been studying the alien weapon signatures and making notes on her computer. Jake, you need to see this data. Their weapons are powerful, but there's something interesting about how they use them. What do you mean? Jake asked over the communication link. They're using maximum power for a simple demonstration. It's like using a sledgehammer to crack an egg. Effective, but not efficient. They seem to rely on overwhelming force rather than precise application of technology. General Lisa Campbell joined the conversation from her office. Amy, are you saying their technology isn't as advanced as we thought? No, their technology is definitely advanced. But their tactics seem very basic. Show maximum force, wait for surrender, repeat. It's like they've never had to be creative with their approach. Jake felt that familiar excitement building again. So they're used to fighting enemies who give up immediately. They've never had to develop complex strategies. Admiral Ben Parker's voice came through the speakers. Jake, we're getting another transmission from the alien fleet. The mechanical voice filled the command center once more. Humans of Earth, you have witnessed Corvani power. Your asteroids are destroyed. This will be your cities if you do not. Surrender immediately. You have no weapons that can harm us. You have no defenses that can protect you. Surrender now. Jake picked up the microphone with a smile. Admiral Zexthoric, thank you for that demonstration. Your technology is indeed impressive. We would very much like to learn more about it. We propose a meeting between our representatives to discuss how our peoples might work together. The response came quickly this time, and the alien voice sounded angry. Work together? You are insects. You will serve the Empire or you will die. There's no working together. Admiral, we understand your position, but we believe you might find human capabilities interesting. We have some unique approaches to technology and problem-solving that could benefit your Empire. A brief meeting could not harm such a powerful force as yours. Jake waited for the response, counting the seconds. When it came, the alien voice sounded different again, less certain. What capabilities? Explain these. Approaches. Jake looked around at his colleagues. Lisa was nodding encouragement. Ben was monitoring the alien fleet positions. Amy was frantically taking notes. Everyone seemed to understand they were in completely uncharted territory. Admiral, such complex topics require face-to-face discussion. We propose a small meeting. On our planet, you could send a diplomatic team to assess our worthiness as allies rather than subjects. Surely an empire of your greatness has diplomatic protocols for potential allies. The communication channel went silent for several minutes. Jake could imagine the confusion on the alien ships as they tried to process this unprecedented situation. Doctor Amy was already preparing for the possibility of alien visitors. She gathered her research team and began setting up scanning equipment. If they actually come down here, we need to learn everything we can about their biology and technology, she told her assistants. Senior Commander Nick Davis arrived at the command center carrying a thick folder of military strategy reports. His weathered face showed years of combat experience, but even he looked puzzled by the current situation. Jake, I've been reviewing everything we know about asymmetric warfare. The problem is, every historical example involves fighting enemies who want to win. These aliens seem to want easy victories, not real fights. That's exactly what I'm counting on, Jake replied. If they've never faced real resistance, they've never had to adapt their methods. Captain Ryan Torres reported from the Liberty. Colonel, I'm seeing some movement in their fleet. Looks like they're launching a smaller ship toward Earth. Jake felt his heart rate increase. How small? Maybe the size of a large airplane, definitely big enough to carry passengers. General Lisa Campbell was already on the phone with the president. Jake could hear her side of the conversation. Yes, Madam President, they appear to be sending a diplomatic team. No, we don't know how many. Yes, I understand the risks. She hung up and turned to Jake. The president wants to know if you've lost your mind. I told her probably, but it might be our only chance. Dr. Amy looked up from her computer. Jake, if they're coming down here, where should we meet them? We need somewhere that looks important but not threatening. What about the old missile base in Nevada? Suggested Nick Davis. It's isolated, but it looks official. Military enough to show we're serious, but not so heavily armed that they'll think we're planning an attack. Jake nodded. That works. Amy, can you get your equipment set up there? Already planning on it, she replied, gathering her gear. The alien transmission came through again. Humans of Earth, Ambassador Thekmore will arrive at your coordinates in 6 hours. He will assess your worthiness to serve the Empire in a higher capacity than usual slaves. Do not attempt deception. Do not attempt resistance. Any hostile action will result in immediate destruction of your world. Jake responded immediately. Ambassador Thekmore will be welcomed with full diplomatic honors. We look forward to demonstrating human capabilities and discussing our future relationship with the Corvani Empire. As soon as the transmission ended, Lisa grabbed Jake's arm. Diplomatic honors? Jake, we don't even know what these aliens look like or how they behave. What if we accidentally insult them? Then we'll apologize and learn from our mistakes. Jake replied, Lisa, think about this situation. They're sending an ambassador instead of just bombing us. That means they're curious about us. Curiosity is something we can work with. Dr. Amy was already loading her equipment into a transport. I'll have everything ready in Nevada. Jake, what exactly are you planning to show them? Jake thought for a moment. The truth. We're going to show them what humans are really like. How we think, how we solve problems, how we work together. If they've only ever met species that surrender immediately, they've never seen what happens when intelligent beings choose to cooperate instead of submit. Admiral Ben Parker looked worried. Jake, what if they decide we're too dangerous to leave? Alive? Then we'll deal with that when it happens, Jake replied. But right now, we have 6 hours to prepare for the most important meeting in human history. Let's not waste it worrying about things we can't control. As the team prepared to leave for Nevada, Jake took one last look at the alien fleet on his monitor. 50 massive ships waited in the darkness of space, carrying enough firepower to destroy Earth 100 times over. In 6 hours, He would sit across from representatives of the most powerful military force in the galaxy. He had never been more excited in his life. The alien ship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a black metal teardrop. Ambassador Thekmer stood in the landing bay, his massive frame draped in ceremonial armor that had witnessed 200 surrender ceremonies. Behind him, 6 elite guards carried weapons that could level city blocks. They expected this meeting to last perhaps 1 hour before the humans begged for mercy and accepted their place as servants of the Empire. At the Nevada military base, Colonel Jake Morrison adjusted his dress uniform one final time. Secretary of State Karen Williams stood beside him, reviewing her notes about diplomatic protocol. The problem was that all her notes were about human diplomacy. Nobody knew what to expect from aliens who had conquered most of the galaxy. Dr. Amy Sullivan finished setting up her scanning equipment behind one-way glass panels. Her instruments would record everything about the alien visitors while appearing completely invisible. Jake, I'm reading massive energy signatures from their landing craft. These beings are carrying enough personal firepower to destroy this entire base. Noted, Jake replied calmly. Are you ready to record everything they do and say? Every word, every gesture, every energy reading. Amy confirmed. The alien ship touched down in the center of the base with surprising gentleness. A ramp extended from its side, and Ambassador Thekmer emerged into Earth's sunlight. He stood nearly 12 feet tall, with 4 arms and skin that looked like polished black stone. His guards flanked him in perfect formation, their weapons held ready but not directly threatening. Jake walked forward to meet them, followed by Karen and a small honor guard of human soldiers. The contrast was almost comical. The humans looked like children next to the massive aliens, but they showed no fear as they approached. Ambassador Thekmer, Jake said, stopping a respectful distance away. Welcome to Earth. I am Colonel Jake Morrison, and this is Secretary of State Karen Williams. We are honored by your visit. Thekmer's 4 eyes studied the humans with obvious confusion. His translator device rendered his words into perfect English, but his tone conveyed bewilderment. You speak of honor. You show no fear. This is not standard behavior for species facing conquest. Karen stepped forward with a diplomatic smile. Ambassador, we prefer to think of this as an opportunity for mutual understanding rather than conquest. Would you care to join us inside for refreshments while we discuss our people's futures? Refreshments? Thekmer repeated the word as if it were completely foreign. You offer food to those who will decide your fate? It's a human custom, Jake explained. We believe important conversations should be comfortable for all participants. We've prepared a selection of Earth foods and beverages for you to sample if you're interested. The alien ambassador looked at his guards, who seemed equally puzzled. In 847 conquests, no species had ever offered them food. Most species were too terrified to speak coherently, much less suggest refreshments. Very well, Thekmer said slowly. We will observe these customs while you explain why your species believes it can avoid serving the Empire. Jake led the group into a conference room that had been carefully prepared for the meeting. The table was set with various Earth foods and drinks, from simple bread and water to coffee and chocolate. The humans sat on one side, the aliens on the other. Though the massive Corvani barely fit in the human-sized chairs, Karen began the conversation with practiced diplomatic skill. Ambassador, we've studied the message from Admiral Zek about joining your empire. We're curious about how this process typically works with other species. Thekmer seemed surprised by the question. The process is simple. We arrive, demonstrate our superior power, and accept surrender. The conquered species provides workers and resources for our next conquest. There is no complexity. And this approach has been successful for your empire? Jake asked, genuinely interested. We have never been defeated, Thekmer replied with obvious pride. No species has ever resisted Corvani power for more than days. Dr. Amy was monitoring the conversation. From her hidden position, taking detailed notes on everything the aliens said. She was particularly interested in their body language and energy readings. The alien seemed confident but also confused by the human approach to the meeting. Karen leaned forward slightly. Ambassador, what happens to the conquered species after? They join your empire? Do they receive benefits from membership? Benefits? Vekmar's four eyes blinked in sequence. They receive the benefit of continued existence. They serve the empire's needs. This is sufficient, Jake nodded thoughtfully. I see, so the relationship is primarily one of service rather than cooperation. Cooperation suggests equality, Vekmar said, his voice taking on a harder edge. There is no equality between the Corvani and lesser species. We rule, others serve. That's certainly one approach to organizing a galactic civilization, Karen said diplomatically. However, humans have found that cooperation often produces better results than simple service relationships. One of the alien guards moved slightly, his weapon shifting position. Jake noticed but showed no reaction. Instead, he picked up a piece of chocolate from the table and offered it to Vekmar. Ambassador, this is chocolate, one of our most valued. Foods on Earth? We'd be honored if you would try it. Vekmar stared at the small brown square as if it might explode. You offer us food while discussing resistance to the Empire? We're not discussing resistance, Jake corrected gently. We're discussing cooperation. There's a difference. Explain this difference. Karen took over. Resistance implies conflict with winners and losers. Cooperation implies working together. For mutual benefit? For example, if humanity joined your empire as partners rather than servants, we could contribute our unique capabilities to help the empire grow stronger. What capabilities could a primitive species offer the Corvani Empire? Vekmar asked, but his tone suggested genuine curiosity rather than mockery. Jake smiled. That's exactly what we hope to discuss. Dr. Amy Sullivan, would you please join us? Amy entered the room carrying a tablet and a small device that hummed quietly. She showed no fear of the massive aliens as she sat down beside Jake. Ambassador, I've been studying the energy signatures from your ships and equipment, Amy said matter-of-factly. Your technology is impressive, but I've noticed some interesting inefficiencies that human engineering might be able to improve. Vekmar's forearms tensed visibly. You claim you can improve Corvani technology? Possibly, Amy replied with a shrug. We've observed that your weapons use maximum power for all applications, which is effective but wasteful. Human technology focuses on efficiency and adaptability. We might be able to help your ships use 30% less energy while maintaining the same destructive capability. The alien ambassador was silent for a long moment. His guards looked at each other uncertainly. Finally, Vekmar spoke. This is impossible. No species has ever possessed technology superior to the Corvani. We're not claiming superiority, Jake said quickly. We're suggesting that different approaches to the same problems might produce interesting results when combined. Amy activated her device and a holographic display appeared above the table showing energy flow patterns. For example, your plasma cannons channel energy in linear bursts. Human engineering suggests that spiral energy patterns could increase efficiency while reducing heat buildup. Vekmar leaned forward to study the display, his confusion evident. You show us your weapons technology willingly? Why wouldn't we? Jake asked. If we're going to work together, sharing knowledge benefits everyone. Work together, Vekmar repeated slowly. You continue to use this phrase. The Corvani Empire does not work together with conquered species. Karen seized the opportunity. But what if humanity weren't a conquered species? What if we were allies instead? Allies? The word seemed to cause Vekmar physical discomfort. The Empire has no allies. We have subjects and enemies. Maybe it's time to try something new, Jake suggested. Your empire has been successful using the same methods for 3,000 years. But success through fear and force has limitations. Success through cooperation and shared knowledge has no limits. Amy added more data to her holographic display. Ambassador, in the 6 hours since we first communicated with your fleet, human scientists have developed 17 different theoretical improvements to your technology based purely on observing your weapon demonstrations. Imagine what we could accomplish if we actually worked together. Vecmore stood abruptly, his massive frame towering over the humans, his guards tensed, ready for action. But instead of threatening the humans, the ambassador walked to the window and stared out at the landscape. In 847 conquests, no species has ever offered to improve our technology. No species has ever suggested cooperation. No species has ever offered us food or treated us as guests. He turned back to face the humans. What kind of beings are you? Jake stood as well, though he barely reached the alien's chest. We're human beings, Ambassador. We solve problems by working together. We grow stronger by helping others grow stronger. We face challenges by learning and adapting rather than by using force alone. And you believe this approach would benefit the Corvani Empire? We believe it would benefit everyone, Karen replied. Admiral Zexthoric stood in his command chamber listening to Ambassador Thekmer's report with growing confusion and anger. The massive alien commander's forearms moved restlessly as he tried to process what he was hearing. In 3,000 years of conquest, no report had ever sounded like this one. They offered you food? Zexthoric's voice echoed through the chamber. They claimed they could improve our technology? They spoke of cooperation and mutual benefit? Yes, Admiral, Vecmore replied through the communication link from Earth. The humans behave unlike any species we have encountered. They show no fear, offer assistance freely, and seem genuinely interested in working with us rather than serving us. Senior Commander Velfara stepped forward from her position at the tactical station. Admiral, this is clearly a deception. No primitive species possesses technology superior to ours. They are attempting to delay our conquest through trickery. Perhaps, Zexthoric mused, but Ambassador Thekmore is no fool. If he says their behavior is genuine, we must consider the possibility that these humans are truly different. Different? How? Velfara asked. Different enough that our standard conquest methods may not work, Zexthoric admitted reluctantly. Prepare to deploy the bioplague. If these humans will not surrender through negotiation, they will surrender through desperation. On Earth, Colonel Jake Morrison was meeting with his team at the Pentagon when the first reports came in. Dr. Amy Sullivan burst into the conference room carrying her tablet and wearing an expression of mixed excitement and terror. Jake, we've got a problem, she announced. The aliens just released some kind of biological agent over New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and 12 other major cities. General Lisa Campbell immediately activated the emergency protocols. What kind of biological agent? Chemical weapons? Nerve gas? Worse, Amy replied, pulling up data on her tablet. It's a bioplague designed to attack human immune systems. Based on our preliminary analysis, this thing should kill 90% of any population within 72 hours. The room fell silent. Jake felt his stomach drop as he realized the implications. The aliens had stopped talking and started killing. How long do we have? He asked quietly. If this follows their typical pattern from other worlds, we should start seeing massive casualties within the next day or two, Amy replied. Jake, this isn't a negotiation anymore, this is genocide. But Dr. Amy Sullivan had been busy in the hours since the alien meeting. She had not spent her time worrying about what might happen. Instead, she had been studying the energy signatures and technology samples the aliens had unknowingly provided during their demonstration and visit. Actually, she said with a small smile, we might have a bigger advantage than they realize. What do you mean? Lisa asked. Amy activated her tablet's display projector, filling the wall with complex molecular diagrams. Remember how I told you that their technology is powerful but inefficient? Well, their bioplague has the same problem. It's incredibly sophisticated, but it's designed to work on species that have never encountered anything like it before. Jake leaned forward. Are you saying we can fight it? I'm saying we already are fighting it, Amy replied. Human immune systems are more adaptable than anything the Corvani have encountered. We've been fighting diseases and plagues for millions of years. Our bodies know how to adapt to new threats. Senior Commander Nick Davis joined the conversation from his position at the communications desk. Amy, are you telling us that humans are naturally immune to their superweapon? Not immune exactly, but resistant enough that we have time to develop countermeasures, Amy explained. Plus, I've been working on something special based on the technology readings we got from their ships. She pulled up another set of diagrams showing modified molecular structures. I've been developing an enhancement to human immune systems, using principles derived from their own biotechnology. If my calculations are correct, we can not only resist their plague, but actually use it to make humans stronger. General Lisa Campbell stared at the display. You're talking about using their weapon against them? I'm talking about using their weapon to improve ourselves, Amy corrected. The Kovani bioplague is designed to break down immune systems. But if we can modify human immune systems to process the plague as raw material instead of poison, we can actually enhance human biological capabilities. Jake felt that familiar excitement building again. Amy, how long would this take? With the right resources and every biologist on Earth working together, maybe 48 hours. Do it, Jake said immediately. Meanwhile, Admiral Zek was monitoring the bioplague deployment from his flagship. Intelligence reports showed the weapon spreading through human population centers exactly as predicted. He expected to receive surrender messages within hours as human civilization collapsed. Instead, he received something completely unexpected. Admiral, Communications Officer Kethver announced, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. Excellent, Zek replied. Put their surrender message on the main screen. But when Jake Morrison's face appeared on the display, he was smiling. Admiral Zek, thank you for the biological enhancement material you provided to our cities. Our scientists are very impressed with the sophistication of your biotechnology. We should have our improved immune systems ready for testing within the next day or two. Zek stared at the screen in shock. Enhancement material? Improved. Immune systems? What is this human talking about? Jake continued speaking as if he were discussing the weather. We particularly appreciate how your bioplague provides raw materials for strengthening human cellular resistance to disease. Our biologists estimate that humans who process your plague successfully will have immune systems approximately 3 times more effective than our current baseline. This is impossible, Velthara whispered. The bioplague has destroyed entire civilizations. It cannot be used for enhancement. On the screen, Jake was joined by Dr. Amy Sullivan, who held up a vial of glowing green liquid. Admiral, this is our enhanced immune serum based on your bioplague. We've already tested it on volunteer subjects with remarkable results. Not only does it provide immunity to your weapon, but it appears to enhance human physical capabilities across the board. Jake looked directly at the camera. We were wondering if you might be interested in sharing more of your biotechnology with us. We believe we could develop even more impressive enhancements through cooperation. Zek felt something he had never experienced in 3,000 years of conquest. Fear. Cut the transmission, he ordered. Admiral, Kethver said hesitantly, there's more. We're receiving similar messages from 17 other human cities. They're all reporting successful countermeasures to the bioplague. And Admiral added, Velthara, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from human population centers. Their technology readings are increasing rapidly. Zek moved to the tactical display showing Earth. Instead of a dying planet full of desperate survivors, he saw a world that seemed to be growing stronger by the hour. How is this possible? He demanded. The bioplague has never failed. Intelligence. Officer Yexthal approached with a datapad. Admiral, I have been analyzing human broadcasts since the plague deployment. The humans appear to be sharing countermeasure information freely among all their population centers. They are not competing with each other for survival. They are cooperating to ensure everyone benefits from their discoveries. Cooperating, Zek repeated the word slowly. During a planetary crisis, they cooperate instead of fighting for resources. Yes, Admiral. Additionally, they appear to be broadcasting. their bio-enhancement formulas to some kind of galactic communication network. We are detecting similar signals being transmitted beyond their solar system. Zexthoric felt a chill run through his massive frame. Beyond their solar system? To where? Admiral, Yexthel said quietly, the signals appear to be directed toward systems the Empire has previously conquered. The implications hit Zexthoric like a physical blow. The humans were not just resisting conquest. They were sharing their resistance methods with every species the Corvani had ever defeated. Show me the signal destinations, he commanded. The tactical display filled with transmission paths leading from Earth to hundreds of star systems across the galaxy. Every world the Empire had conquered in the last 1,000 years was receiving human broadcasts. What are they transmitting? Zexthoric asked, though he already feared the answer. Medical information, Admiral, enhancement formulas, technology improvements, and something they call a message of hope. Zexthoric realized with growing horror that humanity had just done something unprecedented in galactic history. In the space of 3 days, they had not only resisted the Empire's ultimate weapon, but had turned it into a tool for strengthening every species the Empire had ever conquered. Admiral, Velthara said urgently, we're receiving reports from our garrison, commanders throughout the Empire. Conquered species are beginning to demand access to human enhancement technologies. Some are refusing to continue serving the Empire until they receive the medical improvements. For the first time in 3,000 years, Admiral Zexthoric faced the possibility that the Corvani Empire might not be the strongest force in the galaxy. The rebellion began on Zarian Prime, a mining world the Corvani had conquered 600 years ago. The blue-skinned Zarians had served the Empire faithfully for centuries, extracting rare metals from their planet's core. But when they received the human broadcasts containing bio-enhancement formulas and messages of hope, everything changed. Foreman Clickstar was the first to refuse his daily work orders. Instead of reporting to the mines, he stood in the central plaza and broadcast the human message to his fellow workers. We do not have to serve in fear anymore. The humans have shown us that cooperation is stronger than conquest. They offer us partnership instead of slavery. Within hours, similar scenes played out across 300 Corvani-controlled worlds. Species that had been conquered decades or centuries ago began demanding the medical enhancements humans were freely sharing. More importantly, they began demanding the right to choose their own futures. Admiral Zexthoric received reports of growing unrest throughout the Empire with mounting despair. Senior Commander Velthara approached his command chair with another datapad full of bad news. Admiral, we have lost control of 47 worlds in the last 24 hours. Conquered species are no longer following Empire orders. They demand access to human technology and refuse to work until they receive it. Send warships to restore order, Zexthoric commanded, but his voice lacked its usual authority. Admiral, that presents a problem. Many of our own soldiers are requesting permission to visit Earth and learn about human cooperation methods. Some have refused orders to fire on rebelling populations. Zexthoric stood and moved to the main viewing screen showing Earth. The small blue planet continued to broadcast messages of hope and technological improvements to the entire galaxy. But now something else was happening that filled him with dread. Admiral, Intelligence Officer Yexthel announced, we are detecting massive ship movements throughout the galaxy. Multiple species are sending vessels toward Earth. Attack fleets? Zexthoric asked hopefully. No, Admiral. Diplomatic vessels, science ships, medical transports. They appear to be seeking peaceful contact with humanity. The truth was even more remarkable than Zexthel reported. Captain Julie Baker of the newly commissioned UES Friendship was monitoring an unprecedented situation. Her communications officer, Lieutenant Frank Williams, looked up from his station with amazement. Captain, we've got incoming messages from over 200 different species. They all want to establish diplomatic relations with Earth. They're asking permission to send representatives to learn about human cooperation techniques. Julie smiled as she read the messages scrolling across her screen. Frank, Patch me through to Colonel Morrison on Earth. Jake's voice came through clearly. Julie, please tell me you're seeing what our sensors are picking up. If you mean the largest peaceful gathering of starships in galactic history, then yes, I'm seeing it, Julie replied. Jake, there are ships out here from species I've never heard of. Some of them have been traveling for days just to reach Earth. And they're all former Corvani subjects? Every single one. Jake, I'm getting reports that entire star systems are declaring independence from the Empire. Not to fight wars, but to join some kind of cooperative alliance. They're calling it the Galactic Cooperation Council, and they want Earth to be the founding member. Dr. Amy Sullivan had been monitoring the situation from her laboratory, and her latest discovery was the most remarkable yet. She contacted Jake with barely contained excitement. Jake, you need to know what's happening with the Bioenhancement Project. We've had volunteers from 12 different species arrive on Earth in the last 6 hours. When we give them the enhanced UNE system treatment, something incredible happens. Define incredible, Jake replied. The enhancement doesn't just improve their immune systems. It seems to increase their ability to learn, to adapt, to cooperate with other species. It's like the treatment removes barriers to understanding and working together. Jake felt the implications of this discovery settling over him. Amy, are you saying the Corvani bioplague was accidentally designed to enhance cooperation? Not accidentally. I think it was designed to break down the natural barriers between species so the Corvani could control them more easily. But when we modified it to strengthen instead of weaken, it enhanced those same cooperative abilities. Meanwhile, aboard the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Zex Thoric was facing a crisis unlike anything in Corvani history. His own crew was beginning to question their mission. Navigation Officer Plexton approached hesitantly. Admiral, the crew is asking permission to request a meeting with the humans. Absolutely not, Zex Thoric replied immediately. Admiral, with respect, we have studied the human broadcasts. Their cooperation methods could benefit the Corvani people. Perhaps we should consider their offer of partnership. Zex Thoric turned to face his navigation officer with fury. We are the Corvani Empire. We do not ask for partnership. We take what we need through strength. But Admiral, Plexton continued bravely, our strength has always depended on conquered species serving us willingly. If they no longer serve willingly, our strength disappears. The truth of this statement hit Zex Thoric like a physical blow. The Corvani Empire was not strong because of superior technology or military might. It was strong because conquered species had always been too afraid and divided to resist effectively. Humans had changed that forever. Admiral, Velthara announced urgently, we are receiving a direct transmission from Earth. They are requesting permission to come aboard our ship. Requesting permission? Zex Thoric asked in confusion. Yes, Admiral. A small human diplomatic team wants to visit the Eternal Dominion to discuss cooperation opportunities. They emphasize that they come in peace and wish only to demonstrate human partnership methods. Zex Thoric found himself in an impossible position. If he refused the human request, he would appear weak to his own crew, who were increasingly interested in human cooperation methods. If he accepted, he would be admitting that the Empire needed help from a species they had tried to conquer. What kind of cooperation opportunities? He asked reluctantly. The response came from Colonel Jake Morrison himself. Admiral Zex Thoric, we believe the Corvani possess incredible potential that has been limited by your current approach to galactic relations. We would like to show you how cooperation could make your people stronger than conquest ever could. You seek to make us stronger? Zex Thoric asked, genuinely confused. Admiral, we seek to make everyone stronger. That's what cooperation means. When everyone benefits, everyone succeeds. Commander Lisa Brooks led the human diplomatic team that boarded the Eternal Dominion 6 hours later. Instead of weapons, they carried gifts. Enhanced medical treatments for Corvani biology, improved efficiency designs for their technology, and most importantly, detailed plans for peaceful galactic governance. Admiral Zex Thoric, Lisa said as she entered his command chamber, We come with an offer that we hope will benefit both our peoples and every species in the galaxy. What offer? Zexthoric asked, though his tone had lost much of its earlier hostility. We offer you the chance to become leaders of the greatest cooperative alliance in galactic history. Instead of ruling through fear, you could guide through wisdom. Instead of taking from conquered worlds, you could help them prosper and share in their success. Lisa activated a holographic display showing detailed plans for galactic cooperation. Imagine a galaxy where every species contributes their unique strengths to solve common problems, where knowledge and resources are shared freely, where conflicts are resolved through negotiation rather than warfare, and the Corvani would lead. This alliance? Zexthoric asked skeptically. The Corvani would help lead it, along with representatives from every participating species. Your experience and organizational abilities would be invaluable in coordinating such a massive cooperative effort. Zexthoric studied the human proposals with growing amazement. The plans were detailed, practical, and designed to benefit everyone involved. Most remarkably, they offered the Corvani a position of honor and responsibility rather than demanding their submission. You truly believe this cooperation approach would be more effective than conquest? He asked. Admiral, Lisa replied. With a smile, look around you. In less than a week, humanity has transformed a galactic empire based on fear into a growing alliance based on hope. We did it not through superior weapons, but through sharing knowledge and treating others as partners rather than subjects. Senior. Commander Velthara stepped forward. Admiral, perhaps we should consider their proposal. The empire as we knew it no longer exists. Half our subjects have declared independence, and the other half are demanding changes. We can either fight a losing war against the entire galaxy or help build something better. Zexthoric looked around his command chamber at the faces of his crew. For the first time in his long military career, he saw hope instead of fear in their eyes. They wanted to try this human approach to leadership. Colonel Morrison, he said into the communication system, the Corvani Empire formally requests to join your Galactic Cooperation Council as founding partners. Jake's voice came back, warm with genuine pleasure.